We were able to sell that business that my mom lent us $1,700 for, and sold it for a $1 billion evaluation on that business. So, but it was a lot of work. It was not easy. We failed a couple of times. We almost lost the businesses, but it was just the tenacity, the perseverance that Bobby's PMA, the stack and rack, the non-refundable minutes, all of those things that we implemented through those 20-something years that really got us where we're at today.
You tell me 20-something years, and I'm like, oh, God, here we are 14 years and a little bit more in. And for me, it feels like we're just starting, but we've done so much. And when I say so much, I mean, it's like 24/7 for years, which is what a lot of people don't see. They see the end result, but they don't realize what it took to get here. The struggles, the people. I mean, I call her sometimes. I'm like, Sophia, what do I do with this? Because literally, you know me,
you're a go-getter. That's one thing you got.
Yeah,
for sure.
So for me, I'm like, it's normal. And then when we talk to couples like you guys that have been there, that have done it, and you tell me, okay, this is normal. Because for us, the hardest part is the people part, finding the right people to put into place.
Oh my God,
how hard was that?
Very, very difficult. And I'll tell you one thing, there was 2 or 3 different types of struggles when it came down to that. At the beginning, we were putting in family into the business because we just thought that was the easiest way to bring in. Number one, it was the easiest. Number two, that we were trying to help our families, our friends, and we were like, hey, why not? We're starting a business. Let's teach them to come along the ride with us. That was really, really difficult because, you know, families and friends, they type not want to listen to you. They want to do their own thing. Oh, you're my friend, you're my family, whatever. And you try to bring them along with you and they kind of drag you sometimes. And I'm not saying all of them. There's some exceptions to the rules. I have a brother of mine that's been working with me for many, many years, and he's amazing. And he just helps us so much. And he's created a big part of our real estate business. But then you have others that, slow you down. That was one part. The other part was hiring unexperienced people because we didn't want to pay what the experienced people were. We were like, oh, what do you mean? I'm going to give away part of our money that we worked so hard to bring in an employee that week? No. And we learned that lesson. That's the biggest lesson I think I learned when employees is when you want talent and you are ready to scale your business, you've got to pay top dollars. And you got to get that smartest person, even smarter than you. You don't want somebody that's not smarter than you, especially in a division or in that department that you want them to run. You're not an expert in everything when it comes 100%. Down to business. So you need to spend the money and you need to bring in the best in that industry that you are in or that you want for that department. That was one big mistake that we did. And the other one is that when you have a team that you bring in, if you don't allow them to lead and to give you opinion, that's what you have them for. So building a culture around your business, it is so important. So those 3 things, if I could give you any kind of golden nuggets, is friends and family, you be very careful.
Cautious.
Bring in your very top talent and pay them whatever the market desires. And number 3, culture for your business. It is necessary. Yeah. If you don't have a culture, it's going to be impossible for you to build an empire.
And to touch on what you just said about talent, because obviously your first employee, your second employee, as you get better, as you get wiser, the business grows, right? You then have the capital to hire better people, because for me, I know exactly what you're talking about, the family. Sometimes it works out. I have a few people who work for me from my family and they're amazing. And then others that it didn't really work out, right? For, entitlement. And this happens with even just friends, family, or people, the first one in the company. I'm like, look, you still have to keep up. We're growing this together and it's a long road to get there. And the work is sometimes more than it was a year ago. We're obviously better because Albert and myself, we really believe in self-improvement, because nobody can take knowledge from you. You can lose everything and tomorrow start building again, because what you have here and the experience that you already have, nobody can take it from you, right? But hiring, it's a little scary sometimes because I'm like, oh, this person can do it. And I really believe in everybody. But then after like 2 times, 3 times, I'm like, okay, we already talked about this. Like it's enough. Like you either get it or you don't. And you can tell when people have that spark in that. Que tienen chispa. You know what that means?
Chispa is, you know what? Another lesson I learned also with employees is that You can't hold on to an employee if you see that that employee is not fitting the role that he is in or she is in. You cannot stay there and say, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to give him another chance. I feel bad. I don't want to fire him. I don't want.
Yeah.
Move them around. Take them out of the position. Don't wait very long, because we learned that lesson also. And what happens that it brings back the business. It stunts you.
Yeah.
So if you see that something is not working out with an employee, move them to a different division, move them to something else, or just say, hey, sorry, you just don't fit our culture. It's just not working out.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, higher level executives, right? Because at this point, you're talking controllers, higher end managers, different types of positions that really alleviate the time. Because when you're a business owner, at the beginning, you do everything. You wear every single hat. And, you know, even till this day, I'm still like dabbling into like, I want to know I want to make sure everything is flowing. Because when you build everything, you can do everything from the ground up, right? And regardless of, sometimes I feel like even people that have really other degrees in education, people are still people. You know, la gente tiene sus mañas, you know, and sometimes you can't cut them, and they're not always fit for the environment, and it's okay. Because I used to feel like you, like, oh, no, one more chance, they can do it, they can learn it. Believe me that I can tell you that I learned that the hard way. And Albert asked me one day, what is the one thing you would change if you can go back? And I said, I would have fired this person, because that one person caused so much damage to our business. You know what a vampire person is?
100%.
Like, so much damage, and all we ever try to do is help that person. Like, I believe in you, and you know, it just doesn't work, because you know, you have employees so that you give them direction and they get their job done, and it alleviates your time. But that is the one thing that
I'm
if I
going to
can
use
go
the
back,
analogy of you know, the cancer cells.
oh my God.
Once you have one little cell, you know, it spreads throughout, and that happens in a business environment, in your culture.
You're telling me.
One little bad seed, you're done. So that's why I'm saying you have to recognize those. If you want to really build an empire, a corporation that you want to really scale, that you want it to be there for a long time, a legacy type of corporation, you got to recognize those right away, because they stunt you. They don't allow you to get where your end goal is, when that person is not even being, it's not you. You're creating this, and that person's just, and everything you built, they're dismantling it below you, and you're not even, you're like, what do you mean? I just did these stacking stones. Now they're broken? What do you mean? And it's that one person.
You know, it's insane that you're telling me this, because I know exactly. It's like you're fighting with the enemy every single day, and they're inside of your corporate. It's crazy. You know, and that for me was like huge. That's why now I'm like, okay, it's not working out. We have a sit down. We have another sit down. We have and then I'm like, okay, you got to go. Like, this is just not the place for you, because we have high expectations. I literally expect nothing but excellence. There's nothing wrong with not knowing how to do something. It's the initiative of, okay, how do I do it? How do I get better? You know, people come here and they're like, man, I didn't even know I can do that still. I'm like, you can do anything. You just, all you have to do is
culture. Listen, if you have a culture, everyone in your team is going to want to be building up the stepping stone, because if you build up that culture, everybody's going to get to the top. And 100%. Why not being together and build that pyramid all together? It takes the whole entire team in order to build a pyramid. 100%. So you need, every person has to be together, holding each other's hand, you know, climbing them up to the top, so that then you could go climbing with them. If we all go together, you're going to see the whole empire that you're able to build. And it's so nice when you have such a nice culture. And that was something that I really miss a lot, was that culture that we had with that team. It's still amazing. That company is still, you know, doing amazing.
And it's worth a lot more now, right?
Oh, yeah, way more, quadruple than what we sold for. But that company's amazing. The culture, Bobby and, you know, Eric, Bobby, and Albert built in that company. All of us, we just built this culture that was just amazing. And it's unbreakable. You still go in that office and everybody's wearing the PMA shirts. You know, everybody talks about the non-refundable minutes. Don't talk to me. I can't right now. I need to end the month. My non-refundable minutes are right now accounting. And they just, that mindset, the culture, that's why I'm saying it's really, really important.
And it gets engraved here. You know, that's something big.
They take it home.
We instill in people. I'm like, okay, your mindset, if you can change this, you can change any type of situation, literally anything that you could find yourself in. Because me, like you, I was the oldest of 5, super poor. I mean, I'm talking poor. I got my inspo from novelas. I was like, I want to be rich. I don't want to wash dishes. I was always in trouble. You know, like I want a better life. And that's all, think about it. When you're little, all you have is what you have around you. You don't have a choice. But when you get older, you have a choice. So for me, it was that. I used to watch novelas with my grandma.
You know what, Sil? The one thing that I've learned with my kids is that when you teach your kids from young age how to have that PMA in their life, how to be able to create from little. Don't start later. That's what happened to us. We created later, and thank God that we had this mindset that we weren't going to follow the footsteps of our ancestors, you know? But at least for my family, we come very ancestries from below, or like, you know, whatever. They're not. But I started teaching our kids since little of having that mindset of being entrepreneur, or even if you want to find a career, whatever it is, start from little, being that mindset that I'm going to get this done no matter what obstacle comes my way, and I'm going to learn from my mistakes.
What did my daughter tell you yesterday?
Yeah, she's amazing.
We're sitting there and you're like, oh, I don't know how these kids play these games. And she's like, what did she tell you?
She goes, how do you know that you're not going to learn, that you don't know how to play that game if you've never tried it?
And you're like, you're
and
absolutely
I'm
right.
like, that's right, Italia, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm going to try it before I say that. It was awesome. I loved it. Yes.
And we do that a lot with our kids, Albert and myself, because for me, it's very important that they're not, you know, when you make a lot of money, you can spoil your kids easily because you're not teaching them values. You're not teaching them to be kind. You know, they can get spoiled, kids, you know.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, okay, this is a bad check mark. We're not going to Target on Saturday because she loves Target. She's like, let's go to Target and buy toys for the kids that don't have any. Oh, but one for them and one for me. One for them and one for me. You know, and just little things, you know, your kids are listening always. They're little sponges. So, you know, we'll be like problem and Italia's like solution. Or sometimes we're doing nothing and Italia's like, mommy, problem? And I'm like, oh, solution. You know, it's even the little one. She's
You
2.
have to. You know what? We know now. We didn't know, our parents weren't able to give us this mindset, but we know now. So shame on anyone out there that's listening and that you understand this mindset. And even if you haven't accomplished what you want yet, why not teach your child or your grandkids, whatever it is, to start learning this mindset from their little so that they don't have to go through what we've gone through. Start them young, man. If you start with that mindset and let everybody around you start creating this mindset, your venture to your empire is going to be so much easier, because I'm telling you, mindset is where, that's how we got where we're at today. And I know it sounds silly. It's like, oh, cliche, you're saying PMA.
It's the
but
truth.
I tell you, if we did not live by the models that we speak on, I don't think that we would have been able to get to where we're at today.